Watch as merchandise goes flying through the crowds at this Walmart in Virginia.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're looking at the most bonkers Black Fridays throughout the years.
Mayhem at another Kmart when it ran out of TVs.
Cops got called in.
1996. November 1996 saw the release of Jingle All the Way, in which Arnold Schwarzenegger embarks on a perilous quest to acquire a Turbo Man doll.
The Turbo Man dolls, they're all gone.
While perhaps not as over the top, Arnold's plight before Christmas echoed what many experienced on Black Friday that year. It was an especially hectic season with consumers rushing to get their hands on 101 Dalmatians and Space Jam merch, not to mention the Nintendo 64.
The Nintendo 64 game, which has to be rationed.
Tickle Me Elmo is arguably the most sought-after item with limited supplies. By 7:15, at one Target in Ohio, the fuzzy red dolls were all gone, leaving parents seeking a cure for their Elmo fever. The desperation was felt across virtually all retail stores, with Elmo mania only amplifying as Christmas drew closer.
Here at this Target store, the Elmos disappeared the day after Thanksgiving.
2013. As some Walmart employees protested over wages in 2013, others spent Black Friday ensuring a series of shopping stampedes. At an Ohio Walmart, a little girl was reportedly sent to the hospital after being trampled over. Multiple arrests were made at another Walmart in California, where a police officer broke his hand and finger attempting to defuse a brawl.
And in the response, one of our officers received minor injuries, and we were able to take 2 people into custody.
In New Jersey, a woman allegedly spit on a mother and her child. Before the police could finish arresting her, an officer had to wrestle off a disgruntled man yanking at his uniform. Walmart wasn't the only outlet that saw consumers and cops clash. A Kohl's parking lot in Chicago became a shooting site as an officer took aim at suspected shoplifters.
In Romeoville, Illinois, police fired shots at a man trying to rob a Kohl's.
2005. In addition to marking the first Cyber Monday, 2005 introduced the world to YouTube. With injury-related videos proving immediately popular, Black Friday was bound to provide fodder for the platform. A Walmart in Grand Rapids, Michigan, saw more than one customer sent to the hospital. Among them was Doretha Arnold Youngblood, a pregnant woman who seriously injured her leg as the crowd trampled over her. Adding to the pain, the incident was recorded and soon made the rounds online.
It's all about this.
Rather than question the store's lack of security, most users made fun of Arnold as she picked her wig off the floor. The video, as well as the reaction, said a mouthful of what Black Friday was becoming and what the digital era has turned us into.
Do you wish you wouldn't have picked up your wig? No.
2010. Big box stores on Black Friday are often compared to war zones. Corporal Philip Duggan is proof this isn't an exaggeration. At a Best Buy in 2010, Duggan and 3 fellow Marines volunteered for Toys for Tots. Attempting to break up an altercation between employees and shoplifter Tracy Attaway, Duggan felt a blade across his back.
Without much thought, Duggan and his comrades rushed to tackle the suspect, they say, before he could do any harm.
Duggan only needed a few stitches, while Attaway received a life sentence with 30 arrests already on his record.
I really can't believe he messed up my uniform.
You didn't need to wear a uniform to feel like you were in combat that Black Friday. Keith Krantz was nearly stomped to death at a Target in Buffalo, New York, while Lanessa Lattimore was arrested after allegedly cutting a line at a Wisconsin Toys R Us and making gun threats. 1998. Furby could be seen as a missing link between the more traditional toys of yesteryear and the tech-savvy presents that have become more prevalent in the 21st century.
A toy that toys with you.
The gifts might change, but Black Friday hasn't, and consumers were overcome with Furby fever in 1998. In New Smyrna Beach, Florida, Furbies quickly disappeared from the shelves as 500 Black Friday shoppers reportedly fought through Walmart doors.
I'm just getting them because everybody else is.
More than 1,000 shoppers were estimated to be waiting outside a Walmart in Pennsylvania at 3 a.m., eager to get their hands on a Furby by any means necessary. With only so many Furbies available, a KB toy store in Indianapolis instituted a 2-per-family rule. Here's hoping you didn't have 3 or more kids.
It's 2 per family, okay?
2012. Remember when people thought the world would end in 2012? December 21st didn't live up to the hype, but November 23rd was, unsurprisingly, apocalyptic. A Massachusetts man left his girlfriend's young son in a car outside a Kmart. The police thankfully rescued the child while his babysitter searched for a flat screen. Driving home with his family, a father in Palo Alto fell asleep behind the wheel, resulting in 2 of his 4 daughters dying. A female shoplifter threatened an officer with a gun in Michigan, while a Sears shopper in Texas allegedly pulled a firearm after somebody else punched him for cutting. One of the most senseless acts of violence occurred in Tallahassee, Florida, where 2 people were shot over a parking spot at Walmart. 2016. 2016 was a year defined by tragedy and social unrest. America's frustration climaxed in November with a divisive election. Should it come as a surprise that people didn't hold back their pent-up rage as Black Friday rolled around? Some shopped with their fists, as was the case for a group outside of Modesto Mall. Between Thanksgiving night and Black Friday, multiple shootings were reported across the country. One man lost his life at a Reno Walmart over a parking space. 3 people would eventually be charged for a fatal shooting that occurred at a New Jersey mall. Of course, the Black Friday mayhem wasn't limited to the U.S., as a topless man in Vancouver used his belt to whip people outside an Adidas store. 1983. Black Friday's connection to Thanksgiving can be traced as far back as the early 1950s. Yet Black Friday as we know it truly started taking shape in the 80s. Arguably, no event would better define what Black Friday has mutated into than the Cabbage Patch riots of 1983.
I missed work. I'm late for work to get this for my little girl.
Before Furby or Tickle Me Elmo, Cabbage Patch Kids were the must-have toy that turned shoppers into animals. No shock, consumers didn't hold back come Black Friday.
Security guards were called in to keep the peace outside.
Over that Thanksgiving weekend, numerous Cabbage Patch-related injuries would be reported, ranging from broken legs to head trauma. In Miami, a crowd of 150 trampled over a 75-year-old man who had been waiting in line since 8 a.m. He was among the many who didn't get a doll.
Kids want them, and adults will do just about anything to get them. Just about anything.
2008. By 2008, Black Friday was known for being intense, even violent. Yet the idea of a Black Friday crowd resulting in someone's death sounded a tad far-fetched. Black Friday entered a darker era this year, which saw multiple fatalities. One incident occurred at a California Toys R Us, where a scuffle culminated in 2 men gunning each other down.
She called me in a panic, and I could hear the gunshots and just told her to hide.
Another tragedy in Long Island would spotlight crowd control, or lack thereof. When a Walmart opened its doors during the early hours, nearly 2,000 people found themselves fighting to get in. Amid the frenzy, few seemed to acknowledge Jim Ty D'Amour, an employee who was trampled to death. D'Amour symbolized how out of hand Black Friday had become, and the madness didn't end with him.
But the Long Island incident marked the first ever Black Friday shopping fatality.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. 2011. In recent years, people expect to read at least 1 or 2 crazy Black Friday stories annually. In 2011, though, it was hard to keep track of all the incidents that brought out the worst in consumers.
God, I was gonna get run over. I was holding on to my aunt, so I didn't get run over.
Headlines included a woman pepper spraying roughly 20 people to get her hands on the latest video game consoles, patrons going haywire over something as trivial as bath towels, and the authorities slamming a grandfather to the ground, supposedly for shoplifting. Shoppers also seemingly learned nothing from Jim Ty D'Amour's death, ignoring West Virginia's Walter Vance as he collapsed on a Target floor and ultimately died. While we wouldn't say Black Friday has gotten less insane since 2011, it hasn't necessarily gotten worse than this.
And the store stayed open after all of that, and shoppers went about their business.
Which Black Friday experience haunts your memory? Let us know in the comments.
And I covered my head and I screamed for help.